I drink my wine.
Those crow black eyes, starless, but she fucks like a comet. Later still as a Bible and felt like revelations when I looked inside.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Cat Magnus of Propagandist, and it's October 31st, Halloween night, 2020, and this is the Awakened Demagogue podcast. I just realized the other day that I am now on year 3 of having this podcast. Yay, me, everybody, round of applause for me. So to celebrate, I did something a little different. I have a video component to this episode. So if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram or wherever the hell I may post it, probably post it on my YouTube too. Definitely check out the video. You can actually see what I look like when I'm being crazy, but I do have the mood with a little set. Got my candles lit, my wine poured, my incense burning in the darkness. Because what else do you do when you record a podcast on Halloween? All right, so since it's a night of scary and spooky things, I'm going to do what I do best. Talk about the most terrifying thing in the world right now. Election 2020, Zelle. Now, I know a few months back, before Mom passed away, it was actually the day she went to her last hospital visit. Kamala Harris was nominated, or chosen, I should say, as Biden's VP pick. I got the wine, y'all. I got the wine. My bad if I slur, if I slip, if I mean, okay. But I got some drugs on board too. My bad, y'all fault. But anyway, that was when Kamala Harris was chosen as Biden's VP pick. And if anyone remembers my post from that day or my podcast thereafter, I had a really, really strong feeling that day. Like my mouth could not form to say anything but Harris in the few moments up until they officially announced her, and I remember beating myself up because I should have posted it on Facebook. So I don't sound like a nutcase, like, yeah, you think you see the future, da, da, da. No, I'm scared of my talents, and I should probably just speak up more. But anyway, so that happened. It was a whole thing. Everything's all synchronized in my life and being all creepy and ominous. And so, it's been like this major, okay, now the race officially begins. Everyone had the conventions. Trump was officially the Republican candidate. Biden and Harris, they're officially the Democratic ticket. I don't know. I really think there are Democratic operatives that listen to my podcast, and here's why. One, I have been saying for well over a year that Biden was their best chance to maybe possibly win against Trump in the campaign. He was that safe, old white guy that Americans traditionally like to see and vote for. Let's be honest. Obama was a political anomaly. And considering that is the base, that is the ideal or the vision, the old white male patriarch, that is the ideal vision that people who actually get out and vote in lockstep want to see. The old people, the old white people, the people in middle America. And when I say middle America, I mean like the Midwest and that actual middle chunk of America, that rural area of America. That's what they really kind of like to see, right? So choosing that kind of image was the best chance that Democrats had against Donald Trump. Now, I'll give it to the Democratic campaign. They caught on to the fact that people on social media really like petty shit. I mean, even I have been entertained by the petty. Kudos, good job to you guys. But I'm starting to wonder if one of you guys really listened to my podcast and thought that my little prophetic vision of attuning to the energy that felt like, whoa, they're going to win. This is really strong energy. Like, somebody had to be listening to that. And the reason I say that is because they are now pulling a 2016 where they're overplaying their hand. They're a little too confident. And now I don't see them really winning. If they do, will have to do some backhanded ass shit at this point. And a large part of that is because of the last presidential debate. Now, really quickly, I just want to mention the vice presidential debate. First of all, to the American public, if you are not well versed in politics, you kind of need to leave the topic alone, and here's why. If all you guys got out of a vice presidential debate was the fact that there was a fly on Vice President Pence's head, that says a lot, right? I mean, and it's not like they pulled some kind of esoteric political disinformation tricks or anything like that. It was very obvious. Pence would be asked the next question. He would he would circle back to the question prior and then keep harping on that point. And then Kamala Harris just danced around every fucking thing. I mean, at least she tried to stay on topic or keep up with the questions, but she bullshitted around too, and then even created a situation for Pence to kind of go after her for her record on locking up African Americans for minor marijuana charges. So that was a shit show within itself, and there were obvious blunders, there were obvious mistakes made. It doesn't take a highly trained or highly educated political analyst to pick up on what the fuck happened at that time, and yet everybody, all they could talk about was this goddamn fly on Mike Pence's head. Like, I really need you guys to get it together, okay? Like, can we do better, please? Okay, that's just number one. Two, that aside, and everything that I just noticed, everything that I just named, the VP debate was just crap. It was abysmal for both sides. Like I said, neither one of them really answered any questions. Pence was the king of the if I may, like I'm about to use it, if I may, like the king of the polite cutoff, okay, if I may, ma'am, if I may. And everybody liked that I'm speaking, I'm speaking, yeah, but I'm speaking. Yeah, and that was cute too. They had their little shade moments and they were cute, but at the end of the day, it was a shit show. Nobody really answered any questions. Neither one of them offered any substance. Neither one of them, I will give Pence the fact that he really advocated for Trump and, the president that he is supporting and working alongside, while Kamala kind of gently promoted herself as the incoming president when and if Joe Biden dies or retires. She's still making her case as to why she is special and why she matters and why she should be in whatever seat may or may not be on the table for her. So I'll give Pence that. But overall, the VP debate was a general shit show. But when we get into the final presidential debate, that is where the left really, and Biden particularly, because he was the one on stage performing, right? That's where they really started to show their hands. First of all, it was a phenomenal debate, especially compared to the shit show the first one was. And we really got to hear both candidates speak and stand on their laurels and make their cases and stand on their positions and how they felt about whatever they were questioned on. And the thing is, if you actually pay attention to the news and you actually do the research and you actually look at policies, Trump was actually telling the truth about most, if not all, of his policies. I will give the fact that he inflates numbers sometimes, and those moments are the ammunition that the left needs to try to say that, oh, Trump's a liar, Trump's a liar, Trump's a liar. Like, he exaggerates the numbers. True, I'll give you that. He's hyperbolic in his speech. But as far as the point, for example, when he said the agricultural industry was going to benefit from China and China was going to pay the bill for the agricultural industry getting $2 billion or whatever, pumped into it. And Joe Biden was like, no, that's taxpayer money. Actually, no, that is part of Trump's trade deals that, came out of his trade war with China. One of the final deals was that, and I'm just off the top of my head just remembering that China committed to buying a $2-point-something billion in agricultural goods from us. So Trump was telling the truth about that. But the thing about the left is that they count on the general people, especially the minority groups who are so busy with their survivalism and just trying to get from point A to point B and being exploited by the left and identity politics. They expect you to not know something like what I just pointed out, and the only reason I know about it is because I'm in policy. That's what I do, and that's what I read about, and I'm like, oh shit, I wrote a paper on that. Yeah, that really happened. So moments like that really kind of show, there's the devil in the details, and the devil in the details is the left knowing the details and knowing that most people don't really look that deep and don't really get that much analysis. And if they don't actually report that kind of information, or they report it like as a minor footnote, people aren't going to pay attention, much less remember, much less care when they're looking for the petty shots and the celebrity shit show of a debate and folks going back and forth, right? Another thing, as far as Trump and his efforts on COVID, the China issue, as far as, banning travel from China, it is actually true. I remember seeing the tweets, and if anyone actually looked at the tweets, they were there. Biden, Obama, the entire left, everyone was saying that Trump was xenophobic, that he his rhetoric was inciting violence against Chinese Americans. Now he's a racist and this and that and the other, and he hates China. But then in the debate, Biden pivoted and said, oh, I never said that. That's not it. Oh, I didn't mean it in that context. And, well, it actually took him too long to ban travel from China. It's like, first of all, when he did it, whether it was on time or too late, you guys were mad that he did it in the first place and came for him for that. And now you're saying that he just took too long and he did the right thing. And, of course, well, the age of social media, sound bites, quick videos, everything's fast-paced, and everyone's in a, fatigue from COVID and a crisis and a rush to try to make money to keep a roof over their heads. They're really counting on people to not pay attention and to not remember these things. But I remember them. But maybe it's because I'm the policy wonk, right? Maybe it's because I'm the dork that pays attention to things like that. So I remember that they came for Trump really, really hard, basically saying it's xenophobic and it's wrong for them to lock China out. And then they get in a debate and say, oh, he just did it too late. I would have did it sooner. You probably would have did it at the same time, if not sooner. I'll say that. I'll give them that. But it's about them being able to say that they were the ones that made the decision, or they would have been the ones to make it first, or they would have been the ones to execute on things correctly, or in a proper fashion, or whatever. Trump was really actually telling his truth on that stage, because at this point in the game, like he said, I think there was a question. Kristen said, what do you say to black voters about, whatever it is that you're doing for the black community? He said he's gotten the opportunity zones. He's worked on criminal justice reform. He's giving people pardons. He's doing all these things. And being most racist or least racist, that's part of his hyperbolic speech. But he has, his opportunity zones have, given some benefits to some people. I have some friends that say they know people who actually got some money and came up under those, through the opportunity zones. He did work on helping HBCUs not have to come back to the government year after year after year to request funding. He made it so that they actually gain funding over a longer period of time. They have a longer contract, so they don't have to keep coming back and begging. He actually did do those things. And of course, everyone hears about the criminal justice reform things. The major ones that black folks in particular, hear about are the ones that have to deal with Kim Kardashian's lobbying to get people set free, or have their death row sentences, overturned, or things like that. But, these things have happened. He has made these efforts. Now, is it to say that he just absolutely loves black people or something like that? Honestly, that doesn't fucking matter when it comes to policy. That you don't have to like someone to do the right thing. You don't have to want to be somebody's friend or be everybody's friend to do the right thing. And I think that's where we're really, the emotional aspect of the left and how they're driving the political conversation. Everyone's worried about, well, are they your friend? Do they like you? Do they want you? And it's like, it's not about that. Are they going to do the right thing? He could be a bleeding racist, but at the end of the day, he could be a rabid racist. But at the end of the day, if helping black people come up helps the country, and he puts country over his personal like or dislike for people, then that's what matters, because at the end of the day, it's the policies that get put in place and how they're executed upon that make the difference in people's lives. And contrary to what people want you to believe, to what the left wants you to believe, he has made efforts, and to some degree, whether it's a lot or little, they have made an impact. He has done the work. He has, at the very least, tried. And I have seen people on my own Facebook feed, black people that, they're coaches and tax preparers and all of that, and they're saying, what did that chick say? Oh, she said because he did opportunity zones and criminal justice reform, that all black people must be poor and criminals. But then, let's think about it. Government is supposed to solve problems to improve quality of life for the body politic. So if he enacts policies that provide opportunity zones so people can get out of poverty, if he enacts criminal justice reform to reduce the black population that is incarcerated, or to at least prevent more people from being locked up unjustly, those are the two top issues in the black community. He's not getting it wrong by doing that. If you are a black person with money, you're fine. And honestly, the only thing you're worried about is shit that these celebrities like 50 Cent are worried about. Your taxes. Okay? And a lot of these people that I see on Facebook, these asinine fuckwits that are all, you gotta vote left, you gotta vote Biden because Trump is bad, because they've been programmed by mainstream media and this mainstream conversation that Trump equals bad. It doesn't matter what he does, Trump equals bad. And that is the point that I'm getting back to. Is that in the debate, when he was asked, what do you say to the black Americans? He said, well, what can I say? People are going to continue to say whatever they want to anyway, whether it's true or not. There's nothing I can say. There's nothing he can say. There's almost nothing he can do. He can be the reincarnation of Jesus Christ and actually solve everybody else's problems, but because the left didn't do it. It's not even whether or not Trump did it. The left's point is that the left didn't do it. The whole thing about the Space Force, do you really think that if Biden and Harris get into office, are going to dismantle the Space Force and say it's a waste of money? Fuck no. They're going to look at what the Space Force is working on, what our adversaries are doing, and then take something that Trump likely put into place and then market it as if it was their idea. Just like Trump did for Obama's successes. And let's be real, every politician does that. Policy takes time to work. So if you are a president for 1 or 2 terms, that's why it's important for any president to be to have both terms, to have 2 terms, preferably consecutively. Because if they enact one policy in the beginning of their first term, or then at least the first half of their first term, it's going to take at least until the first or second half of the second term to even see any kind of return on the policy investment. It takes time for policy to work. And that's why every time we have this argument, there's this public argument over who did what and whose policy it is and who gets the credit. A lot of times, once a policy works and everything is great and it's grand, whoever is in office at the time gets the credit. But more than likely, if it's a policy that worked or didn't work, it was enacted while the previous president was in office. Period. So when Republicans get into office and they try to balance the budget and fix things that were already a shit show from what Democrats did, it's because Democrats already fucked it up. They already overspent. They already blew the budget. And now, while Republicans are trying to fix it, there's almost nothing they can do because Democrats overspent by so much and then left the Republicans a mess that they can't even... What can you say? What can you do? It's already been done, right? And then say the Democrats do finally get things under control and everything is great. Well, unless everything is fucking stupendous by the time that Democrat leaves office, the Republicans can come in and say, well, I have the glory now. It happened under my administration. That's what we see with the Obama thing. It started with Obama and it finished and reached its peak under Trump. Period. That's just how it works. And it's not partisan. It's not politics. It's just the nature of time. Policy takes time. That's what I think they're saying when they say in the legal world that, the wheels of justice turn slowly. Because policy, law, all of that, it takes time. It doesn't just happen overnight because somebody's saying, Obama's classic, I got a pen and I got a phone. But at the end of the day, the results take time. Fuck your pen and your phone. You could sign that shit yesterday. You may not see results of it until someone else is in office. For example, space policy. Obama put in place a plan to have human beings, Americans, at least in orbit of Mars, in lower orbit around Mars, by like 2025 or something like that. And the goal from there by the 2030s or the 2050s was to have people actually on Mars, like walking on Mars and, studying Mars, seeing if it's viable to, do what Elon Musk wants to do, colonize Mars, things like that. Trump was not against that. He actually wanted to continue working with that, but the Mars mission could not get the funding, more than likely because of a lack of imagination from most people that are at the high level of anything, whether it's a corporation, a government agency, or government itself. It's usually some old person that lacks imagination and problem solving and critical thinking skills, especially the way that we need them today. So Trump got impatient with the Mars thing. He said, all right, let's table that and let's just focus, let's just take baby steps. Let's just focus on getting back to the moon. So, and then he has this Artemis program, the Artemis Accords, which is his one actual multilateral policy to work with other states, nation states, to get people on the moon again, to get the first woman on the moon, to actually bring resources back from the moon and study them to see how they can be exploited. Right? So Trump, and the thing is, the plan that Obama set in motion would require the cooperation and encouragement of subsequent presidents, because getting to Mars and doing the big thing and getting people on Mars and studying, the Martian landscape. That's a long-term plan. Everybody has to be in accord with it, and Trump wasn't necessarily against it. It's just it wasn't moving fast enough for him. So he said, let's just focus on the moon right now. That is just the reality of how the things that most people don't know work. Is that Trump isn't really dismantling and undoing everything. He's just doing what he can to, one, come through on his campaign promises, because that is part of one of the key metrics that makes sure people can be reelected. Did you do what you said you were going to do? And he did, as far as delivering on the economy. A lot of people were making money under Trump. I had my best year in business working for myself and as a caregiver under Trump. That was 2018. Before Mom went in the hospital, and life just happened to me. Trump didn't do it. My life didn't fall apart because of Trump. Life just happened to me. You know what I mean? Trump didn't happen to me. Life did. So people actually really were doing well under Trump. The thing is, and this is not Trump's fault. The economy tanking right now, it's not Trump's fault. The global economy tanked because of COVID and everybody having to shut down because no one knows what the fuck COVID is. And everyone's trying to figure out what the fuck COVID is and can we get a vaccine for it? Who's going to be the savior of humanity? We got the vaccine nationalism and the race for a vaccine or a cure or a viable treatment for COVID so everyone can go back to normal safely. Like we have these flu vaccines that most people like me do not take. And then, you got the hypochondriacs and the people that are too trusting and they take it. And then, you get the people in healthcare and say, why would you get the flu vaccine when it may not even work for the flu that comes around this year? Whatever. And what if COVID is like that? What if it adapts and mutates? And I think that there have been some articles about that COVID is also adapting and mutating. So what if COVID is like just a concurrent flu that adapts and mutates, year after year after year? You can get a vaccine, but will it work? It may or may not even fucking work. We may just have to chalk it up there with the general flu. However, it is something new to the human experience. And our scientists are not all-knowing gods. They do have to do the due diligence, do the studies, and figure it all out, and figure out how we can balance getting back to normal with the reality that it's going to take a long time to get this vaccine or a cure or a therapeutic or whatever it is that, gives people enough security health-wise in the public health realm for us to get back to normal.